So looking at the active people right now, yeah, maybe we can wait for a little while so that people can join, or maybe let's just start. We're already out of time. 5 minutes. We are having only a time slot of 1 hour. Okay, let's just is so pen testing is it's a type of testing which we do, which is done by ethical hackers to gain access to a system, or either to find vulnerabilities, or to patch up vulnerabilities. So it is a testing done for finding the level of security of a system or an application or a website, anything. So it is used for patching up any existing vulnerabilities with networking in Linux and other distributions and securities. So let's just, even though I'm going to just consider from the scratch and try to explain everything as much as I can. So in the reconnaissance, you are actually knowing your target. So this is the first and foremost step. This step is the heart of all the process. The more information you gather about the system, the more good attack you can have. So the next thing is called discovering vulnerabilities. So discovering vulnerabilities is like, after you gather information, what can you do with that information? So this is how you discover the vulnerabilities that particular system might have, and analyzing on how to exploit that vulnerability and gain access to that system, or how to actually analyze the risk. That is the next step. Analyze the risk and gather information, analyze the risk and try to exploit it or try to patch it. And finally, we go to the conclusion or the final report, which we have to keep to actually keep track of what's going on. So a very good practice is actually having notes for yourself. So when you actually have a notes containing all the process, all the steps you made, you have a nice process tree. So if you mess up at some point, you can come back to the checkpoint and figure out and try to redo something else rather than making that mistake. So it's always good. It's always a good practice to have notes for yourself. Okay, let's moving forward. There are two perspectives in any pen testing application or any pen test. So it's either thinking like an attacker, or either thinking like a target, or taking as a victim. So when you see the two perspectives, if you check the attacker's perspective, that is when you find the first and foremost, as you know, it's reconnaissance and then discovery followed by it. That is finding the vulnerabilities. So when you find a vulnerability, then the next question that pops up is how can you it's the same, it's similar. So it is coming back to the approach. So it's black box, gray box and white box. What it states, these are just few of the tools which people use it regularly to have a complete pen test. The first one is burp sheet. This one is used for web applications and communicating with a particular web server. And the second one is Hydra. Hydra is it's like John the Ripper. You might have heard it. John the Ripper is a tool which you use for cracking passwords. And Hydra is the one which uses the same brute force technique to log into an FTP, SSH, or any other client. Doesn't matter. It gets things done. And next we have Hashcat. This is one of the amazing tools which you can find. Hashcat tool takes in an existing hash and with the information given by us is going to give us UTF-8 report, or the final password. So the password's hash is decoded for us. That is one of the best tools you can find. Pre-installed in Kali Linux. Of course, we are moving forward into Kali Linux pretty soon. The next one is called Metasploit. Any hacker in the world just has to use Metasploit. There's no way that nobody can hack into a system. There are ways, of course, but yeah, Metasploit is the one which makes things go easy, smooth. It has everything built in, so you just have to apply it. That's it, nothing much. Moving forward, the heart of the any pen test, that is Nmap. I assume that you know Nmap already. Even though it's fine, I'll just explain how Nmap works pretty soon. Okay, let's go to the good stuff. So I have a Kali machine running pretty. Yes, there we go. This is my Kali machine. Um, you can have a dual boot, or you can just use a virtual machine. I'm using a virtual box here, and let me just check the stream is all good. Yes, the stream is good. Yeah. Okay, fine. So this is a Kali machine which I'm having right now. So, and this is the other mission, which is my target mission. This one right here is a Windows 7 machine, which I'm running, so that I can explain how you can hack into a Windows 7 machine easily. I'll just get back to my Kali. Okay, wait. I do know that my Windows mission's IP address is, let me just check the Windows mission IP address. ipconfig. So this command which I'm using right here is a command used uh, for knowing the internet, the network of the system, and how this particular virtual machine or a system is trying to connect to the internet, and what's its local IP address and everything. So our local IP address here is ending with 106. 192.168.0.106. Fine, we don't know its IP address. So I'm trying to hack a system which is inside my local area network. So when I'm trying to hack a system which is outside a local area network, what should you do? You should use the public IP address to communicate to it. So right now, for this webinar purpose, I'm using this machine inside my virtual machine. So let's get started. So as I said before, you should be starting your any pen test with this. Oops. Okay. You should start any pen test with a nice, good looking report. So let's just start a report. Oops, my bad. And we do know that our target's IP address is 192.168.0.106, if I'm not wrong. Let me cross check it once more. Oops. .106, there we go. Yes, this is our target's IP address. So as I said before, let's just go to desktop. Let's just save it. There we go. Let's just keep this aside. So let's get started with the first step, that is reconnaissance. How do you do that? Let's just start with the heart of the tool, that is Nmap, our good old Nmap. So when you use an Nmap command in the terminal, you can see all of the things that Nmap can do. It is giving a simple manual so that you can read into all of the good stuff and find out what's helpful to you and use that. We do know that this particular 106 machine is our target, so we do not need to have to go to host discovery to find our target's IP address. So you can use that anyhow. That it'll take some time, so that I'm skipping that part. Now let's get started with the simple Nmap scan. Let's just know what Nmap is going to do to find out what this machine is capable of and what kinds of ports are open for communication. Let's just do a simple, wait a minute. Okay, let me explain what command I'm going to use here. This is a simple TCP scan. So it's going through the ports which are open, and it's trying to connect to it. Okay, oh, that's a fast report. Okay, fine. So simply oh my god, there are lots of ports which are open, and there's this one particular port which is very interesting. It's a server. It's definitely a server. So the next command I'm going to use, I can actually type this again in the same line, but I'm just giving you an insight of what kinds of results you'll get for each command. So I'm going to skip that TCP scan. I'm going to do a simple version scan. So whatever service you are seeing right there, what service is using some particular port, whatever that service which is using the particular port has some version of application which is running it. So we are trying to gather that particular information. What is that service which is going on behind that particular port, which is of use right now, that is 445. Let's just wait for the scan to complete. Till then, let's just see if you have any questions, anything, you can just ask it right now. Oh, yeah, there we are. So, okay, pretty good. Yeah, we do have an open port, and the service version which is running behind this particular open port is Microsoft 7, Microsoft DS. It's for it's a server which is running behind. So we can use that to exploit into the system. What can we do with that? Let me just go through my. Let's just start a script, and this particular script. Okay, where is that alpha? Let me just copy it. Okay, this particular script which I'm running right now is trying to understand that particular open ports which we have here, and is trying to find and gather information about the vulnerabilities it might consist. So when I started running this script, it is trying to gather the list of open ports and the service versions which are running, the services which are running in that particular port, and it's trying to find the vulnerabilities which might be useful for us. So it's doing a simple work for us, and it's pretty good if it finds out any good. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, it did come up with some. Okay, pretty good. Let's just see. There's a vulnerability right here. Pretty good. Remote code execution vulnerability. This is one of the best vulnerabilities you can have. That is remote code execution. So what that means is you are remotely trying to communicate with the system and asking it to execute a particular code. So you are telling that computer to hack itself, like giving us the access. It's pretty good. So it also gives us a nice ID from the database of exploit database, that is the CVE number as well, so you can use that anyhow. I just copied this one. So let's just move into MSF console. Tag Q for quiet mode. So MSF console is an application made by Rapid 7. So this MSF console is Metasploit console. And I'm trying to open it in a quiet mode so that you don't have to see the banner. If you want, I can just show you the banner. Oops, must have done. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay, anyhow, moving forward, you can just type help, and it gives you all kinds of commands which MSF console can accept, and give you specific information back. So you can just do a ton of commands. I'm just going through some of the commands which might be very helpful for you. CD for any Linux distro, CD is change directory. Windows 2 CD change directory. You can connect to a particular one so that you just know that particular host is active. And jobs and is the one which keeps tracks of all kinds of hacks you're trying to do. When I'm trying to hack this particular machine, Windows 7 machine, it's going to create a job. So if I just don't want to hack it right now, and I want to go to some other machine, Windows 8 machine which I'm running, maybe if I run, and I can create another job. So I can switch back and forth between the jobs, and I can do any kind of work from there, and each job is going to eventually create a session. So session is something where your session is a connection establishment between you and the victim's computer, so that you can communicate and target and hack and do whatever you want. And in that session create, okay, I'll just get back to you later. Uh, we'll eventually get to that point. So there are some databases which you can use. Threads, okay, edit, nothing much of a use right now. So we do know one of the best commands that's there, that is search. Search is going to go through the exploit database and it's going to give you that particular exploit, ms17010. So I'm just gonna search for this exploit, and boom, okay, we did find some of some payload, an auxiliary scanner. Okay, let me tell you what. So auxiliary is a one, any exploit or anything starting from auxiliary means that it's going to it is kind of an nmap. It does an nmap scan actually. So auxiliary is going to scan that particular system, and then the second one is auxiliary as well, and there we have 5 exploits, I guess. 1 2 3 4 4 exploits, my bad. Okay, let's just see which exploit might be pretty okay. Oh, nice. Eternal Blue SMB remote Windows kernel pool corruption. This is pretty good. Yeah. So this is the particular exploit we are looking for. So this exploit right here, when you search for it, is going to give you some ID in front of it. That is the 3, whatever you can see. This one, 3. Whenever you try, it might be different, doesn't matter. So you can use that particular one instead of just copying this entire thing. You can copy this entire thing and use the command use. Use is a command which you use. It rhymes, yeah. Use is a command which we use to use saying metasploit. Optional information. If we have that information, you can specify it, but I don't think so that's necessary right now. So our host is it's time. Boom. Okay, very good. So let's just run the exploit. Let's see whether we can find our, okay, it's pretty good. Positive response. Okay, we did come up. We are in the system, guys. So we are currently in a shell, a Windows command prompt, what you can call yourself, call that as. And in the shell, you can just like PS. Okay, PS is not a command prompt command, so let's just say, yeah, we are in the shell and we are reading currently. Yeah, we are in system 32. That's fine. And like get UID. Okay, get UID is also okay. We are currently in a shell and we can't do any good stuff. So we need to have a Metapreter session. So unless and until we have a Metapreter, or it's like a mediator between you and the target mission. So this shell, whatever we are having right now, it is limited. We can't do lots of stuff in it. So we do want to have an established Metapreter. Instead of trying to exploit it once more, why don't we just use the existing shell? So let me just background this process. Background this particular session. So I'm in MSF console again. So if you want to get back to the shell again, so you just have to type sessions. Let's look at the session. Yeah, we do have a session that is the it's a normal 64-bit shell. So let's just go to like sessions tag I for interaction. Oops, I did a spelling mistake there. Sessions tag I for interaction and 1 to actually use that session. So we are in the shell again. So let's just go back. We don't need that. And we are trying to convert a shell into a Metapreter. So let's just search for, we can use the same search command again. Search shell to Metapreter. There we have it. Post exploitation tool, that is post multi-manage shell to Metapreter, which is a post exploitation tool. So after you exploit it, you are trying to do some more stuff, that is post exploitation process. So in this post exploitation process, I'm going to show you what you can do right now. So use 0 to use that 0, that is the ID. That 0 is the one responsible for post multi-managed shell to Metapreter. Let's see the options. Okay, so right now there is a few options that you have to change. That is the L host. L port doesn't matter, you can use any port you wish. If some other application using that port, you have to stop that application or you have to change another port. There are tons of ports, so you can use it and use anyone. And we have to specify which session you want to work this exploit on. So we do know that the session 1 is the one responsible for the shell which we already created. So we're going to set our session as 1, and we're going to set L host or R host, the listener's host. So what it's trying to do here is it's going to try to make a Windows Metapreter. So instead of using the exploit like use exploit Windows Metapreter reverse TCP, you can oops, my bad, you can use this one. Okay, my bad, I've done some spelling mistake, I guess. Never mind, you can use this particular Metapreter, a reverse TCP. Okay, yeah, so yeah, I found out the problem here. So this is not an exploit, my bad, it's a payload. So use payload. In fact, I should have a command set payload. Set payload Windows Metapreter. So it is using that Windows Metapreter reverse TCP. So instead of going through all of this process again, we are utilizing the existing session and we are trying to make it into a Metapreter. So let's search again, use 0. So we are in multi-managed shell to Metapreter. See the options. Unset payload, you don't want that. Yeah, so unset is a command where you want to set that particular variable to null. So I don't want this process to be affected by that particular payload. So if I go through that payload might have other L host and L port, so it's not a good idea to have a payload which is already set. We are already trying to do a post exploitation process here, so we don't want to mess up with the payload. So let's just put the L host, set the L host as our IP address, and I know my IP address is this. Let me just, oops, my bad. Let me just cross check it. ifconfig is my local IP. Yes, it's pretty good. It's my L host. Good. L port, it doesn't matter. Now let's put our session as, oh, what was our session? I guess it's 1. Yes, this is the active sessions. When I check the sessions command, this ID is the one corresponding to the shell. So we are going to use this ID, set session as 1. Let's say the options pretty quick. Okay, everything is set. Now let's just run this. So what Metasploit is doing right now is it's starting a reverse TCP handler through an existing shell. So it's trying to communicate to that shell to start a reverse TCP handler. So what it's going to do is our process which was actually there in that Windows system was a PowerShell. So this particular PowerShell is actually running right now and it's trying to create a Metapreter for us to communicate with, and boom, Metapreter session 3 is open. So that means we have a new session and its name is 3. I don't know why, I must have done it twice. Metapreter session 3. So let's go to sessions, interact with the third session. Boom. Yeah, pretty good. We are in the Metapreter right now. So we can use the yes for the process. Pretty good. We are in the shell right now. Okay, pretty good. Let's just see get UID. What are okay? We are working as the systems authority. We are the administrator right now. That gives us all privileges. So you can see get privs to see all the privileges we have. Okay, we do not have all the privileges yet. I'll tell you why. So right now we are using an existing PowerShell, as you can see right here. I guess our process ID is 2304. It's using okay. There are two PowerShells. I might be wrong, but we actually logged in as John before. So when we tried to connect as John and saw the processes we had, so we were actually restricted. We weren't able to go to other or know or uh, modify certain files. So when we started a Metapreter session, you can see that we do not have lots of privileges yet. I guess it's the process problem because we are in some other process which is not owned by the administrator. So we have to escalate and go to the other process. So let's just try to go to other process. Okay, we are almost 15 minutes left. So let's just try to do this process pretty quick. Let's just see can we migrate to a stable application rather than having a PowerShell. So let's just migrate to some. Okay, that's nice. We here see a spool and we also see LSASS. Okay, so these two applications which I'm going to talk about, let me talk about the spool first. Spool is the one responsible for having a memory. It's like it's maintaining a memory record or a log of what kind of preferences that particular user has. So according to that preferences, when you log out or reboot, your system is going to remember that particular preference. So if we migrate into spool, it's going to be active every time. Or we can also migrate into LSASS, which is responsible for all kinds of internal authentication within the Windows system. So we can just migrate into 456. This is the process ID. And technically, remember these privileges which we have right now, we're going to cross check with the privileges once we migrate. And you're going to see that there are tons of other privileges we're going to have if we are able to migrate into 456. So migrate into 456 process. If this is successful, uh, it is successful. That's pretty good. Let me just check with get privs. Boom. Pretty good. Yeah, so we are having tons of privileges right now. You can just lock memory, load a driver, increase working privileges, take ownership. Take ownership gives you all kinds of ownership over the entire file system. That's pretty good. So we are technically in the system right now. We have complete access over it. And okay, 15 minutes left. I'm gonna just talk a little bit more about persistence. If you have any doubts, you can just quickly ask me. I don't think I would be able to answer if the time runs out. Let me just check. How to download and install Windows 10. Okay, you can just buy a product from Windows 10 from anywhere, and you can pretty much have the serial key and install it on your boot. And good one, pretty clear so far. Thank you for that. And I don't think you guys are having any doubts right now. So let me just talk a bit more about the Venom and Hydra, Netstat. Okay, fine, I can cover a little bit. Let me talk about persistence. Persistence is one of the tools which is built in, one of the extensions which is built in the MSF console. Before that, let me just give you an insight on Kiwi. Kiwi is one of the extensions in the MSF console. You can just load it by simple command like load Kiwi. Kiwi sounds cute, but yeah, it's one of the strongest tools you can have. Like once you loaded Kiwi, it's going to give you all kinds of permissions, extra privileges, extra commands which you can do. So like if I go to help, there are extra Kiwi commands right here on the screen, which are pretty useful. Like I can just type like creds tag all. Oops, my bad. There's a boom. We do know what's the password for John's system. Pretty good. I can just log into that system whenever I want. Okay, I actually did because I already have my system here and I already tested it a few times before, so I do know that there is this particular password. We have it right here. So there's other way which you can find the other way to find the passwords of the administrator. So here we can only get the John's admin password, as we started as John in the first place, and I don't think the process is updated yet. So let's just type hash dump, so you can dump all the hashes which are okay. Hash dump to dump all the hashes we have. There's this John's hash. I can just go to some browser and I'll just try some online hashing tool. So to decode our password, let me just quickly go over there if Kali lets me. Okay, let me just go to crack station default hashing. Pretty good. Let me just go over here. Okay, we did find the password pretty easily. So that was his password. We did find it. So let's just move into the second one which I was talking about, that is the persistence. So to run a persistence is nothing but you're trying to establish a very strong connection between you and the target machine, so that if this particular session closes, you're going to come back to that particular session. Like you can come back to that Metapreter session again. So you can just run it as run persistence tag h for help. Okay, so here are the things that you can actually do. You can say persistence to have an interval and try to connect whenever you want. And we do already have when user logs on alternate executive payload location. So it's going to try to make an agent inside the victim's machine and try to communicate and try to re-establish the Metapreter session we already have. So if we run out of the session timing, if we disconnect by mistake, if that person logs out by mistake, there is no way we can come back again. We have to run the exploit completely again from the scratch. So instead of doing that, we're going to establish a persistence. So for that, we're going to just have an interval of maybe 10 seconds. It's going to try to connect back to my machine. We're going to just say that whenever the user logs in or the logs on, my bad, it works fine anyhow. Oops, my bad, I forgot the tag. There we go. And I'm going to put my L host as 192.168.0.1.0.8. That's my L host. I'm going to put L port as something like 4040. Nobody cares. Doesn't matter. You can use any port. It's just a stupid machine. That's it. Let's just see if the persistence is created. We are good. That's pretty good. Okay. That's pretty good. Okay, so we can just, I don't think so it will work right now, so but I'll just have a quick look. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, because of the given flag I've given tag caps u. That means that automatically start the agent when the user logs on. It's right here. So what it means is we are trying to establish a connection when the user logs on. So right now, if I also know the password, right? So I can just actually have it. So we do have a nice Metapreter session. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna see the sessions. I'm gonna kill all the sessions pretty quick. Boom, all the sessions are closed. I'm gonna use multi handler. Okay, set payload. Here we're going to use that same payload we have. So let me just search for it instead of just Windows Windows Metapreter reverse TCP. I think we are running out of time, but that's fine. Oops, typo. There we go. There is an exploit Windows payload. Yeah, we can just use to. We did put our payload. Let's just see the options pretty quick. Okay, so here we're going to put the L host, that is set L host as 192.168. Oops, my bad. 0108. Set L port as 4040. If you clearly remember, we kept L port as 4040, and if I run this exploit, it is going to what I actually have here is multi/handler as a payload handler, which we can use to actually communicate and try to re-establish a connection which we already have. So if I run this command, it is going to start a listener on this one. Okay, my bad. Oops, I think I have. Okay, let's see the options pretty quick. Oh, sorry, my bad. We have to use multi-handler. Use multi-tag handler / handler. Now we can exploit it. A Metapreter session 4 is open. That's pretty cool. We just killed all our sessions. We just disable the communication with that particular system, and then we started a simple command, few lines of commands, and then we are back in the same session. So if the user is logged on, and we have given a time interval of 10 seconds, right? So for every 10 seconds, it's going to try to connect to our machine, that is 192.168.1.0.108 in the port 4040. So I'm in the session again. I can just see the processes. I can kill some processes. I can just do whatever I want. Okay, we are left with 5 more minutes. Okay, now we have seen an attacker's perspective, right? Now we are going to see a victim's perspective. So we do know that we started to attack from the basic idea that let me just go through my nmap scans again. 445, I guess the port 445 is open. There we go. Right, so in this 445, we do know that the actual application, some application is running a 445. So let's just go to our other system. Let's just see, use the command netstat tag A, tag O or a normal view, tag N, normal view, tag P for the processes. Let's just see this. Oops, my bad. Let me just look at my, I should have done some mistake in the command. Oops, I did not specify the type of connections. There we go. Yeah. So we do know that there is a connection through the port 445, which is having a process ID of 4. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to the task manager and I'm going to the processes. Oops, I'm going to the details, I guess. Yeah, in the services. And we do know that the process ID is 4, right? So, oops, Okay, that wasn't supposed to happen. I'll show you in our host mission. So if I know that a process ID of 4 is responsible for that particular open port, and fortunately it's not one of the most important process which is going on, so it's not like explorer.exe, so you can actually go to that port and try to close that connection. If it's some application like torrent, you can change the port from where it's going to access the internet. You can increase the security of that particular machine. Okay, we have 5 minutes left, and let me just quickly wrap up and tell you what all we did till now. Yeah, the connection is good. So we have gone through, oops, my bad. So yeah, I was actually showing you how you can actually know a particular process ID. So from that information which we were running with the Netstat is going to give us the process ID which is responsible for that open port. So if you want to instantly solve this problem, you can just go to the details and services, go to your process ID. Let's just say this is my host mission, and you just know that particular one, like let's say the virtual box is responsible for the problem. You can just go right click and end this task, and technically is going to shut down that connection which we were having before. So just because I managed to have a persistence for that particular connection or a strong established connection, so that's why now there is no way for that particular person, if he's normal and he doesn't have all ethical hacking skills and other forensic skills, there is no way he's going to ever know that that particular system was ever hacked before, and he can't do anything. Let me show you one of the cool stuff you can actually do. I actually forgot. I don't know why I forgot this, but yeah, in the Metapreter session, you can just have few commands like screen share. Now we can actually see what that system looks like. I guess there is some problem, but yeah, so if there wasn't any problem, you can actually see I don't know why there's a connection problem here. Okay, there must be some or the other problem here. Okay, operation failed, access is denied. I guess I have to, oops, migrate to 456 again. Yeah, let me just try this again. Boom, there we are. So you can literally see what that screen is looking like. So if I just open up Windows Explorer, Explorer here, it's going to eventually show that I opened that one. So I have no clue, in the perspective of a Windows 7 machine, I have no clue that I'm being watched by some other guy right here. I can just go to my XAMPP, I can go to my HTML, I can just edit my scripts here, add passwords, it doesn't matter. I can just look whatever he's watching. And we can also do some amazing stuff like, oops, help. I'll show you some commands which you can use. Okay, we are out of time, so I'm gonna just wrap up pretty quick. You can record mic, you can start a web communication, you can play some audio and they have no clue, and the audio is going to play without any media player. So it's like the audio is gonna play, but you don't know how it's playing. It's because we have established a connection, and that process is responsible for that playing of audio. You can get the key scan dump is going to dump all the keystrokes which you're having. So if that particular guy is typing a password, you just do this and that key is dumped to your system so that you know the password what is going to type. And Last but not the least, one of the best tools you can ever have is I actually wanted to say a lot more about this one. It's called RK Hunter. It's a rootkit hunter. So this rootkit hunter is one of the best ways you can actually assess your system and find out loopholes before they are exploited. So you can just go like RK Hunter, check. So it's going to check through all of my directories in my system and it's going to highlight what kinds of vulnerabilities are there. It's going to perform several tests, like it's going to get the strings, as you can see, it's going through the libraries, it's checking the prerequisites. If some virus is found or some okay, we are already seeing a problem here, and it's see, it's considering itself as a problem. It's considering rootkit hunter, the library itself, as a warning. So it might be a vulnerability, right? So it's going through all of that and it will give you a nice report. So closing the session, we have gone through all of the approaches. We saw the workflow and we saw all the perspectives we had. And actually, I forgot to have my report completely filled in. Usually, my report is completely filled, but I don't have my report right now because I was keeping time in my mind. So we are already late. I guess you learned pretty good information from whatever we did today. I hope you are having a good time. And if you have any queries, you can just contact C4 Projects. And if you have any doubts, anything, you can communicate directly with me. I can help you out in learning more. And maybe we'll take some more sessions more in the future and try to learn Hydra and other stuff. So thank you all for being a good listener. And I'm going to wrap up this session right now with this cool stream section right here. I'm going to stop the streaming right now. Guys, have a good day. Thank you. Happy holidays.